it's Heather from Tech at Lowell again with another month of YA Book Club. Yay! Okay, so I hope y'all liked the love poem Mad Lib. I hope it got you lots of giggles. I tried to pick a good one. And then I hope you enjoyed the books. So I'll do my review of what I read last month. We'll go over some of this month's book picks, and I'll tell you what is coming next month. All right, let's get going. So I ended up reading Fangirl the Manga Volume 1, which is based on the novel by Rainbow Rowell and was adapted by Sam Maggs. I needed something easy to read for the month of February because it's been a little crazy, and it did not disappoint. The entire thing reads like fan fiction, which is appropriate given that the main character writes fan fiction. I haven't read the original novel, so I didn't really go in with any like preconceived notions or anything, which was really fun. It was cute. It was fun. I would read the next one. I also feel like I really enjoyed the art. It's a very classic sort of manga style art. It was very good. Well, at least it didn't read the front to back, because that always takes me a minute. But it was overall just a good, light, easy read. I would definitely read it again and again, read the next one. So, with that out of the way, we are on to this month's books, and this month I told you we're going to be doing historical fiction. We're just kind of making our way through the genres as we're going, I decided. So, let us get going with this month's books. Just a sec. Alright, so our first one for this month is Code Talker by Joseph Bruchac. So the US is at war, and 16-year-old Ned wants to join the cause, especially when he hears that the Navajos are being recruited specifically by the Marines, especially by the Marines. You know what I mean. So he claims he's old enough to enlist, breezes his way through boot camp, and suddenly finds himself involved in a top secret task exclusively performed by Navajos. He has become a code talker, and his experiences in the Pacific will forever change him. So this is actually based on true stories of the Navajo code talkers from World War II. I think it's a very fascinating subject. I've looked at it several times. It's on my to-read list. It just has not made it to the read list, like so many others. Okay. And our next one is historical, but a little more mystery bent. I'm trying to introduce variety within the genres. So this is Ripper by Stefan Petrucca. So Carver Young dreams of becoming a detective, despite growing up in an orphanage with only crime novels to encourage him. But when he is adopted by Detective Hawking of the world-famous Pinkerton Agency, Carver is given not only the chance to find his biological father, he finds himself smack dab in the middle of a real-life investigation, tracking down a vicious serial killer who has thrown New York City into an utter panic. When the case begins to unfold, however, it's worse than he could have ever imagined, and his loyalty to Mr. Hawkins and the Pinkertons comes into question. As the body count rises and the investigation becomes dire, Carver must decide where his true loyalty lies. So, maybe a slight spoiler, but it does do it when you look at it on Goodreads. A little bit of a take on Jack the Ripper. So this is about the same time period. It's after Jack the Ripper's supposed murders in England, but one of the theories about why the murders in England stopped was that he went to New York City. So, read the book, see what happens. Alright, so the next two are kind of like together and yet separate. They're both graphic novels by the same author, Jean Luen Yang, but I picked them because they're two halves of the same story. So, if you look at them, let me get this situated right. I had it right before. If you look at it, it's Boxers and Saints. So, again, two halves of the same story. So, the way they arranged it online is Boxers first and then Saints. So we'll talk about this one and we'll talk about that one. And I mean, fun challenge. You could read both and then like compare the different sides of the story. Fun challenge. If you want to. At least they're graphic novels, right? So, Boxers, they both take place in China 1898. So in this one, bands of foreign missionaries and soldiers roam the countryside, bullying and robbing Chinese peasants. Little Bao has had enough. Harnessing the powers of ancient Chinese gods, he recruits an army of boxers, commoners trained in kung fu, who fight to free China from foreign devils. Against all odds, this grassroots rebellion is violently successful, but nothing is simple. Little Bao is fighting for the glory of China, but at what cost? So many are dying, including thousands of secondary devils, Chinese citizens who have converted to Christianity. So that's one side. And then the other side of the story takes place in Saints. An unwanted and unwelcome fourth daughter. For a girl isn't even given a proper name by her family when she's born. So she finds friendship and a name, Viviana, in the most unlikely of places, Christianity. But China is a dangerous place for Christians. The Boxer Rebellion is in full swing, and bands of young men roam the countryside, murdering Westerners and Chinese Christians alike. Torn between her nation and her Christian friends, Viviana will have to decide where her true loyalties lie, and whether she's willing to die for her faith. So, again, two sides, same story. Be very interesting to see. I'm probably gonna cave and read them very soon now that I've got them both here. All right. The next one I picked partially because I have an obsession with this period in history. It is Fatal Throne, and it's actually by 7 different authors. Well, yeah, 7 different authors. So 6 of the authors write, let me start over. So this is about King Henry VIII and his 6 wives. Yes, the man had 6 wives, not all at once. So each author takes a character and writes from their perspective. So you start with Catherine of Aragon and end with Catherine Parr, and after each wife's turn, Henry gives his side of the story or his opinion of what happened. So it's a very, very interesting take because, I mean, there's books and books and books written about Henry VIII and his wives because it was just so dramatic and scandalous. I mean, Catherine of Aragon, and then he sets her aside so he can marry Anne Boleyn, and then he beheads Anne Boleyn, marries Jane Seymour dies, then he marries Anna of Cleves, annuls that marriage because he decides he doesn't like her, marries Catherine Howard, the poor teenage girl, beheads her, then marries Catherine Parr, who survives him. So, it's a roller coaster of a ride. And this is a good one. All right, and then our last book for the video, but of course there will be several more picks and the Goodreads posts, and I'll try to remember to list them below and link all the stuff below. So our last one for right now is Dreadnation by Justina Ireland. You have probably seen this because it was on Battle of the Books. I can't help myself, it's just a really, really great premise. It's on my to-read list so much. Really need to get around to reading some of these, but the to-read list just keeps increasing. So, Jane McKean was born 2 days before the dead began to walk the battlefields of Gettysburg and Chancellorsville, derailing the war between the states and changing America forever. In this new nation, safety for all depends on the work of a few, and laws like Native and Negro Re-Education Act require certain children to attend combat schools to learn to put down the dead. But there are also opportunities, and Jane is studying to become an attendant, trained in both weaponry and etiquette to protect the well-to-do. It's a chance for a better life for Negro girls like Jane. After all, not even being the daughter of a wealthy white Southern woman could save her from society's expectations. But that's not a life that Jane wants. Almost finished with her education, Jane is set on returning to her Kentucky home and doesn't pay much mind to the politics of eastern cities, with their talk of returning America to the glory of its days before the dead rose. But when families around Baltimore County start to go missing, Jane is caught in a conspiracy, one that finds her in a desperate fight for her life. It's such a cool premise. You have the Civil War and you have zombies. Cool. Plus, there's now a second book out, so always fun. So those are some of the picks for this month, and the activity, the Mad Lib seemed to go pretty well, so we have another one. This time it is about the Lincoln assassination. I figured that was far back enough people wouldn't get too upset with me. And then, in addition, so you see this one's printed on yellow paper, some of that is so that you can follow the instructions and age your paper. So you can make it look old. You can make it look like an old newspaper article. So that is fun. All right, that's it. That's all I have to say for this month. Next month, I am looking at doing fantasy, my favorite, of course. Need a little bit of a pick-me-up. Keep an eye on the Goodreads page and on our Facebook page. I will be posting on our Facebook page some of the new books coming out next month in March. This month, next month, March. Some of the books coming out in March. So keep an eye on that because I do try to pick some that I think you'll really like. And then I think that's it. So as always, have fun and keep reading, guys. See you soon. Bye.